Okay, everybody better have the flow chart before we go any further.
I got it.
I know you've got it. Okay.
It's page 9.
I got it up there shortly after you and I talked, Patrick.
Okay, but I'm asking, do the other people on the call have it?
I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
There was at least 5 or 6 people on the call here. Do the rest of you guys have it?
Yes, I have it.
Okay. You need to look at that. And basically, then you also need to have the definitions that I had Tom post up there also. You need to get this understanding before you go any further, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Until you have this understanding, then you should be able to proceed to go to the damn court. This is all in Title 46. Okay, I had one guy try and tell me that there's no Federal Maritime Commission any longer, that it was replaced with the Federal Maritime Administration in the 1960s. I said, I don't know where you're getting your information. I know that the Federal Maritime Administration was set up in the 1960s, but it did not replace the Federal Maritime Commission. It's still on the books. It's still in Title 46. It's not been taken out of the system. Okay? So, I'm getting tired of arguing with people when they don't have their full understanding of this and they don't check out the information that I give them properly. I've had people go in recently and talk to them on the phone while they're talking on the phone, and basically they pulled up the Federal Maritime Commission, and basically it addresses the people that are there. Now, all of this was in Title 46. I don't know how many of you guys were around in the 1960s. I imagine most of you basically were somewhere close in there. But in the late 1960s or so, or in the early 70s, along with the peace movements and everything else that were going on, there was also the Save the Whale movements. So basically they stopped whaling out here because the whales were getting, the ocean whales were getting extinct. So, when you go into Title 46, what the hell do they have all this shit about whaling vessels in there? They don't talk about shrimping vessels. They talk about fishing vessels and yachts and whaling vessels. They don't talk about crab vessels or anything like that. But they do make specific intentions about whaling vessels. Well, you have to know what a whale is. And it's in the definitions there. Okay? A whale, a mammal of the sea. You are a whale in the Sea of Commerce. You're a mammal of the Sea of Commerce. A subject of property upon capture or taking. They use it in a lot of the movies out here, especially when they go into Vegas. They're looking for the big whales.
Aren't you going to eat?
Ocean 13, I think, was the last one that basically came out talking about the whales. you are an American whale. And they're whaling, they're running a whaling ship, vessel. That's what you signed on to as the chief or master mate under hire. And then also the owner of the vessel needed a crew member. So basically that was the United States that created that numbered seaman. Your corporate sole person was created by the certificate of live birth, okay? But the certificate of live birth was recorded at the county. Now, the numbered seaman with the same name was not created until later, almost 90 days later, when it went out to Washington, D.C. to the owner of the vessel. See, we're not the owner of the vessel. We are on land.
Mm-hmm.
We are the consignor, or basically the owner and admiralty of the American cargo that is placed on this ship.
Mm-hmm.
See, whaling vessels also carried cargo from one port to another in case they didn't run into any whales.
Can you say that again? I'm not following that.
A whaling vessel could also carry cargo from one port to another just in case they did not run across a whale. They would not have been out at sea for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You need to read the book Moby Dick. This was written in 1851. And I'm sure that Abraham Lincoln read it and understood it.
Mm-hmm.
Because this all came about the whaling of the persons. And then what was Moby Dick? He was a white whale. They were going after the American white whales, the American people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was getting ready to take place. Damn good book. Mutiny on the Bounty is another one that fits right in here. The state of, basically, is the first mate, the state of Iowa, state of Manhattan, New Hampshire, whatever. They're the first mate. You're the chief master's mate. The hiring. And see, your corporate soul was the person that was on that certificate of live birth. Then it went to the state of. Okay? So now you had the two mates, the chief mate or master mate and the first mate. Well, when two people mate, normally they produce something. And since they sent this out to the owner, then the owner of the vessel turned around and put a number on that seaman, that bastardly, falsehood created entity. See how it all plays out? This even goes back to Job and the whale.
Mm-hmm.
It even goes back even further to the Assyrians that basically were running around with all their damn fish heads on. The Pope of Rome with his damn fish hat.
Oh, yeah.
And they're whaling the people in. What do you have at a wake? And get all the women to this too. They're wailing, wailing. Yeah, poor soul gone, dead. So we're gonna wail. Everybody thinks that tithing is the 10%. That's bullshit.
Right.
What the people in the Bible were taking to the temple was not the tithings. They were taking their titles, terminating their titles at the temple. You got any bills or anything, you turn around and you send them to the federal district court. Say, this is an obligation of the master of the vessel. The vessel bar master, the federal district court judge, is also the bailey. I said 7 IRS items up there to the federal district court judge. What did he do with them? He sent them down to the bailey.
Right.
The U.S. Marshals. That courthouse is nothing but a banking house. And that's the one that we have to stand in admiralty at. This is the modern Babylonian maritime system, or MARY, M-A-R-Y, time system, to fleece the people, to harvest their labors and feed upon their fears. You are the admiralty owner of the American cargo under your preferred admiralty title and lien, which is either your hospital birth certificate or your Bible entry. You take that, if you don't have your hospital birth certificate, you take your Bible entry, but you best know and basically stand your ground when you go into these damn courts, and don't be afraid of the damn shitheads. You're coming in as the chief master's mate. These local judges are basically whores. They're mutinous whores. And the state has willfully deserted you. That's why you have to go to the vessel bar master or the federal district court. Now, on the vessel, if you have the first mate's deserted, you come in and basically your first seaman is over the age of whatever it's supposed to be for the charter of demise. And then all the other seamen that you created, like a driver's license, like a certificate of title to a vehicle, like a certificate of marriage, they were all numbered seamen or false pretenses. Read the definition of false pretenses. Like for the church, basically you created another seaman if you're like in the Roman Catholic Church or some other churches, at communion or at confirmation or at marriage in that damn church. You kept creating more seamen under false pretenses. Now, in whaling, there is a term called contract of mateship. That's where two whaling vessels go together to harvest one whale. We have the Certificate of Live Birth as the first whaling vessel, and we have your Certificate of Baptism with the Church of Rome as the second whaling vessel. This is brought out in the book Moby Dick. They went into a contract of mateship. Two of them did. Now, there was a third one in there, but he was a soul. He was off by himself, and that's the federal or the foreign commercial whaling vessel under false pretenses charter, the military selective service whaling vessel. And is what they did. They basically skimmed off your, when you got out, your military bounty from you. And that's the cargo that they're still holding, that they haven't given up. Now, you're also owed, as the chief master's mate, you're also owed wages. And the chief, as a chief master's mate, you can sue in admiralty to get those wages. But you have to look through the damn Title 46. I mean, you have to open up the whole Title 46 and then start doing a word search for the whole title. Words like whaling, words like mate, words like seaman, owner, vessel. Go through them all. Take a look and see what you end up with. The other night I went through and I pulled out let me see. I pulled out title let me see. 303, 115, 103, 107, 111. 531, 801, 109. All these different chapters. As I was going through, seeing something that I want to streamline down, take all the extra garbage out, and that's what you need to do is, when you go through this, take out a lot of the extra and just read what the statute itself says, or the section says, and then highlight those damn words. That's the only way you're going to understand this. If you don't put the time in, you're not going to get the reward. And you have to keep after these people. Okay? This federal district judge. You just keep hounding upon them. They're the ones that basically are the obligee. They're the prime in the definitions I have there. They are the the primary libelant. The libelant of a maker or principal as distinguished from that of the grantor. You are the grantor putting your cargo on board the vessel. So you are also the other person under secondary liability. Stop trying to jump out there and become the primary libelant. Make the primary person pay, the master of the vessel. You send enough of these damn documents into the damn court, and basically you're probably going to try and say enough is enough. Let's just get rid of this damn whale. He's going to sink us. And that's what Moby Dick, the white whale, did in the movie. He sank all 3 whaling vessels, if I recall correctly. And then there was only one survivor. I've read the book several times, and that years and years ago when I was growing up, and then I also watched the movie. Names and everything in the movie. Ahab, Abraham. You got to think outside the box, people, and I'm tired of thinking for you, okay? I want comments. I want comments from you guys. I want to make sure that you're alive. And basically, so far, 90% of you guys are all dead. And you don't give anything in return. And then if you do try and get something in return, you've gone and looked at the wrong damn thing. In some cases, turn around and I'm getting feedback on stuff that we've covered before. Saying, oh, no, we need to go here. No, we don't need to go anywhere else. It's all right here. And I brought this up about 2.5 years ago about Title 46, but nobody really got in there and helped me research it at that point in time. And I should have done a little more research at that point in time, but I didn't see everything that I see now. But that's only because I've gone out there and I've beat the living shit out of this. Yeah. Just like you have in feed processes. To get the goodness out of something, like, I mean, you can eat acorns, but you have to beat the living shit out of them, soak them in water, leach the poisons out of it about 3-4 times in the process, and then you can eat them. Everything is edible out here. Everything on the earth is edible. You just have to figure out how to make it edible. I told you before, one of the simplest cancer cures out there is apple seeds. But you can't just eat the apple seed. You have to grind it up. Because you have to get to the source in the seed, which is the arsenic that's inside the seed. The animals know how to take care and utilize the plant and vegetation out here. You best start looking at how the animals live, because you are just an animal yourself. And then you better start trying to help and do feedback into the system. Get out there and start hammering these federal district courts. When you come in admiralty, they can't do a damn thing to you. You will never see a paper terrorism in admiralty. So if you put all your paperwork in admiralty, they can't claim that that's paper terrorism. One of the key things out here is that we've been trying to come in as the living person into the commercial world. We have to come in as the chief or master's mate, demanding our wages. We tried to come in as the seaman. We tried to come in as the owner of the cargo with our thumbprints and our seals and everything. When you read what it says in Title 46, you're not going to get it. It's right there. It says you're not going to get it. But as a labor or as a hiring, you have the right to put in your claim for wages. And that is your corporate person's or corporate sole person, the first name on that certificate of live birth or on that selective service or on that baptismal certificate. Now, the Church of Rome basically is holding our assets in trust, in a Sestake trust. That's the only trust that's really in this country when it really comes down to it. The other is all cargo on board our vessels. And I don't know anywhere, I didn't go through Title 46 to put the word trust in there, that I didn't see it in all the stuff that I was going through. It never struck my eyesight to see the word trust there.
Patrick, are you looking at the 2015 Title 46, or are you looking at 14, or are you looking at a different year?
It doesn't make any difference.
Well, they've changed them.
I know. Yeah, but most of the stuff that they changed was for the ocean side of the deal.
And the Homeland Security. They've added that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
but that is garbage, okay? See, that is for other stuff, okay?
Right.
You're looking at the whaling vessel. When you go through and look at whaling in all those chapters, you're going to see that there are certain ships, fishing, whaling, and yachts are exempt from this section. Yachts are private vessels.
Mm-hmm.
So they do not fall under the commercial system of maritime.
Right.
Fishing vessels are basically like a farm, a farmer's farm on the ocean. and that's his livelihood. So that is basically classified as private property. But see, all the farmers don't understand that basically they're fishing the ground. That's what a farmer is.
Mm-hmm.
So basically their farm is really a fishing vessel. And it's exempt from a lot of this stuff, but the people don't understand that, so they turn around and get right back into the system out here. In the commercial world, they go out and have all these damn commercial loans and everything else from the CCC. Yeah, about the only way to straighten this whole damn country out is just to destroy it and start all over.
Yeah, I think that's probably close to true.
And basically, and one of the things there, one of the time frames that I saw was this ends at December 2015. I can't remember whether it's 31st or what. But anyway, that's next year. And basically that would have been the right time frame for the end of the Mayan calendar. Not 2012, but 2015, because they had a 3-year lapse because of the Gregorian calendar. Jesus didn't get out of the system until basically he was 33. He had to go and try and study the damn system. But he didn't get aware of the system until he was 30 years old, when his cousin, John the Baptist, baptized him and fed him the information. Babbled to him. And that's when John the Baptist lost his head, because he told Jesus how to come out of a system. But it still took him almost 3 years of going in and hammering on the damn court system, the temples, numerous different times to try and come out. He didn't come out right away. How many times did he go to the temple in the New Testament? Quite a few. So he was not God Almighty. He was a man just like you and me. Moses, the same damn way. How many times did he have to go in there and hammer them until they finally gave up? Daniel, same thing there. Until he proved to them that basically they could not touch him. He would not give in to their maritime system. Their Babylonian system. And see, the pharaohs were operating the Babylonian or the maritime system also. Need to go through all these the 2 different charters. Charter of freightment. Okay? And charter of demise. Read what it says. You're a chartering party, a maritime contract within admiralty jurisdiction. So these contracts are maritime contracts, but they are within Admiralty jurisdiction. That's why you have to keep all of your court actions in Admiralty. Then you also have charter party warranty. I should have used that one in this, that I forgot, and I didn't put it in. A covenant in a charter party that goes to the whole consideration on either side on the failure or non-performance of which the party agreed may repudiate the whole contract, and the plaintiff must perform the condition before he can maintain an action to enforce the liability of the other party. That's big right there. You have fulfilled the contract. You can come in as the plaintiff and enforce the other party to terminate the charter. There was a carriage of goods at sea or by sea act, but when you look that up in as 1406, it was repealed. But you have to do the conversion over to the new item, so you have to go to the very beginning. So that one should have been removed from the dictionary, but it wasn't. They've gone in and they've renumbered all of the original Title 46 chapters. Now, one thing that basically is, I told before, a woman, when she goes into court, she has to stand that basically she is under the protection of the husband or the father, her dead husband, or her living husband. This applies also in the military wedding between the chief mate and the second mate. If you're a female and you're the chief mate or the master's mate, and then the state of is the husband in the matrimony. A whore can be either a male or a female. There are male whores out there. Now, a wife has no power of her own. And I told you before to go into the definitions in Ballantyne's about UXOR and look up all the definitions there. A wife has no power of her own, but is under the control of her husband. Next one down. A wife has no power of her own, but is under the control of her husband, whom she cannot, in his lifetime, gainsay. You can look up what gainsay says. Some cases you might have to go to Oxford Universal Dictionary, or basically a Webster's Big Dictionary, and get basically the civilian side of some of these word definitions, different from what the law dictionaries have. I've told you that before. And see, basically a mutiny, a usurpation by force, fraud, or intimidation of the command of a vessel from the master or other lawful officer in command. The two officers that are in command of that vessel are the master and the chief or master's mate. The state is committing mutiny in this process. That's why mutiny on the Bounty comes into play, and the mutiny was perpetrated by the first mate, not by the chief mate or the master's mate, because the master and the master's mate were put into the little boat and sent off. I think the latest mutiny on the Bounty that was out there was the commander with Kroll in it. And that was about the mutiny on the Bounty. And then all the seamen ended up getting hung in the end for mutiny. Just like all the fictitious seamen in the whaling vessels got killed when the vessels sank. Just like all your fictitious seamen are going to be taken under, because most of these fictitious seamen were created by the mutiny, the mutinous second in command or second mate, the state of, under fraud, telling you you've got to have a certificate of title, telling you you've got to have a driver's license, telling you you've got to have a marriage certificate, all creating a damn fictitious or a false pretense person. False pretense. Any trick or device whereby the property of another is obtained. Impersonation, a means of committing a fraud. False document, a document purporting to be made by some person who did not, did not in fact exist. That's what a false document is. So you're running around with a bunch of false documents. That driver's license is a false document. Because you created a fictional seaman on this vessel so that basically you could get more seamen, or the first mate could get more seamen to take mutiny control away from the master and the first and the chief mate of the vessel. And see, none of the seamen get paid. That's what the state turned around and in the mutiny on the Bounty was, that the seamen were not getting paid. So the first mate, who was basically holding the funds and everything from them, who was supposed to be the purser for the seamen on board the vessel, is not paying them. And he's blaming it on the chief mate and the master of the vessel. So that's why both of those movies, Moby Dick and Mutiny on the Bounty, come into play. They pull this whole thing about this whaling vessel together. And see, when the whaling vessels all went down, who was left? The real living person. Because everything else was fictionary in that book. Documentary evidence. I have done this with the FBI before. Okay? When I was basically working in nuclear power. And they tried to claim that basically I was spilling the beans on the security system of the nuclear power sites. I wasn't. I said, shit, anybody could break into these damn power plants. It's all in the movies. Movies are a documentary evidence. 90% of them are recorded in the Library of Congress. The transcript for the movie, or basically the movie itself, the screenwrite. Documentary evidence, including all kinds of documents, recordings, and writings. In documentary evidence, the witness is the thing that speaks. Not you, but the thing. The book. The movie. Whatever. It speaks because it's been documented. Almost all these items that basically are in the movies, they've been created at some point in time or another. The flying vehicles, the hovercrafts, everything. They're all real. Now, in some cases, some of them have been shelved, okay? Bought up by the auto industry or something like that, put on the back shelf. But basically, in a lot of cases, they were initially processed through by the military to see whether they had any feasibility for use in the military. And that's where the movie gets a lot of their insight into a lot of the different items that go into their movies. Stun guns. Basically, they were out there in the movies before they really ever came out in the marketplace in this country. But the military had them. to go through this flow chart and get good understanding of what I've got there, you need to look at all the different items that are there. It's all about whaling. And then you might go and read the book Moby Dick, or go and get the movie Moby Dick. And also the Commander or Mutiny on the Bounty. And I think there was 2 different versions of Mutiny on the Bounty out there. And then the third one is with Crow in it, is the Commander. I can't remember whether there was more than just one movie about Moby Dick or not. But the only way you're going to get this, if you want out of the system, is to hammer the hell out of this master, the vessel bar master. And then you have to go after, through the Federal Maritime Commission, to enforce the action. That if the master does not comply, the Federal Maritime Commission can step in at that point in time. So I sent my main one to the Federal District Court with a copy of this vessel, this flow chart, and then also the template going to the page 2 that I had Tom post up there, 2 of 3, okay, and that I'm coming in and I'm disavowing the commercial whaling maritime allegiances. And I listed my certificate of live birth, my selected service contract in DD 214, my Social Security maritime insurance policy, my Iowa driver's license and ID, and then my Church of Rome certificate of baptism. That doesn't have a number on it. But these are all whaling vessel contracts. Now, the Iowa driver's license and ID, basically that was a mutinous, because that is going against the Admiralty of America. They're trying to say that that driver's license is you, the living. It's not. I've said this all along. Whenever you see your name out there in all capital letters, basically, that ain't the living. That's the dead. That's in the maritime system, the maritime, Mary Virgin Mother time system. And then the 3 Marys that came to the gravesite at the final settlement there, the Mary for the church, the Mary for the state, and the Mary for the military. Jesus did serve in the military. You only have the time frame between when he was 12 to 30. So it doesn't cover the military time that was required in between from roughly 18 to 25. You got to look for the missing pieces, the missing logic out here in the scenario. None of this stuff is any different. And all the falsehoods that basically a lot of these people put out here about how the pyramids were built and everything else. All just slave labor. And we're going to kill all the kids, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. No, that's all. There's too much bullshit that's written into that Bible that people believe, and they don't see what really the connotation or the metaphor really stood for. Why did Moses turn all the gold into white powder? I've gone through this before, because that is one of the other properties of gold. If you take it through the light spectrum, which is also in the light spectrum, is a harmonics of the molecules, heating them up until they vibrate at a certain harmonic, then they change their property around, but it still remains as what the original substance was the gold, but it has changed its appearance. And that's why gold, silver, and several others are called noble metals, because they can change their properties. Just like water has three different properties: a gas, a liquid, and a hard substance. It's still water. I don't know how many of you guys ever went to school and learned anything. Claim you have a high school education, or you got an education of some sort, of some knowledge, but you're sure the hell not using it. And colleges are not for learning anything. They're for harvesting the young minds to gain the knowledge. Because a young mind thinks with a clearer pattern than one that has been inundated into the system out here, just like everybody out here right now. They can't think for themselves. But a young mind basically has the power to go off in different directions. That's why you always have to remain young. You have to ask the question as a little child, why? And never give up on that. When you stop asking the question why, you might as well just roll over and die. I was a rebel in school, a lot. But I learned probably more and retained more than most people out here. So I was a rebel. I knew how to survive. I got what I needed, and that was it. But I retained a lot of the other stuff that I could have had the A's and the B's if I wanted. But you don't have to let everybody know everything you have. Because you go out there and you have all the knowledge out front, what more do you have to use later on? You have no reserve. You keep so much in reserve away from the ones that are trying to control you. That's the logic of surviving. Like all these guys running around with guns, okay? You don't store all your guns in your damn house. That's total ludicrousy or whatever. Asinine. You basically go out and you bury them. Same thing with your money. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. We've been told these metaphors over and over again. That people don't understand them. Deposit your money into a life insurance policy is depriving you of its assets, and you're going to turn it over to some nitwit down the road that you may never live to see? How stupid is that? I can ramble on and basically hammer this thing until I get blue in the face. But I think I've, with that flow chart and basically going over this stuff with you and the definitions, putting those out there, you guys now ought to have some questions. So, I will now open it up to questions and answer session.
Well, right, I have one question regarding what I already asked you on the Title 46. Did you say earlier something about in the 800s? Because I didn't see anything in the 800s either.
There's an 801. Okay, there was an 801, and I forget which one I have, 2011 or 2012.
Okay, all right. Because it only goes up to, I think, 500, and then it skips to the 2000 or something. I forget.
Do you download the text version or the PDF version?
Okay.
You might have to go to the very front and go through a section and do, when you do a word search, especially if you get the text section, okay, you can do a word search in it. Even if you have PDF, you can do a word search in there, but do it for 800 01 or 80, let me see, what was it, 80101. Okay, put that in and see what you come up with.
Okay.
It should take you right to that section if it's in there.
Yeah, it's in the 2010. It's not in the 15 or 14, but it is in the 2010 one.
Well, see, that's what they do. They keep modifying some of this stuff. But in a lot of cases, like I said, when you go in and you start doing a search on whaling, for the most part, you're going to find that fishing, whaling, and yachts are exempt from most all of the stuff in that shipping act. But yet other things are applicable there, like the seamen pay, that they do not have to pay the seamen pay right away. And basically the only one that really has action in admiralty is the master's mate or the chief mate. They're one and the same, really, in my case, or my understanding. But he's the only one that really, the hiring is the only one that really has a lawful claim, because the others are all fiction in this whaling vessel system, because there are no whaling vessels. The United States does not have a whaling fleet anymore. We got research vessels that go out and study the whales, but we do not harvest the whales. Iceland, Greenland, and two of the other Nordic nations can go after whales. I think Chile and Brazil, or Argentina, whichever one's the southern one, basically in some cases they might, but I think in some cases most of them have shut those down. So the only other one that you have is some Russians and the Chinese, or not Chinese, the Japanese.
Right.
I don't even think the Koreans have a whaling fleet. So what is all this stuff about whales in Title 46? It's because they're after the whales, the white whales, initially in Moby Dick, which was the white man that they were going to come after. But under the emancipation, later on, they brought in the black man and all the other colored people. So now you've got the whale of a different color out there. The American whale of different color. So like the horse of different color in Wizard of Oz. When you stop and think about all the different movies out here and all the different metaphors that come into play in this, there are immense times that they've been trying to tell us what is really going on. It's just for those that basically have the eyes to see and the ears to hear and the fortitude to stick with it that will basically ever come out of a system. Okay, questions now.
How long has the call been on tonight? Because I just got on, so I would like to ask something, but I don't know what to ask because I haven't heard anything yet. So I'll probably be for that beforehand.
Yeah, you'll have to listen to the call and then see if you can get the documents downloaded that Tom uploaded today.
You download them after 2 o'clock or before 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
I'm only asking that because... Well,
after 2 o'clock.
Or is it after 2? Okay.
They were put up there about 4 o'clock Eastern time.
I got you. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, one of them's a flow chart, and another one is page 2 of the document that I sent up to the chief district judge. I didn't have the cover sheets that basically you ought to be able to figure out from this page 3 flow chart and the page 2 of what you need to write to that federal district court judge.
The two document names that I put up there are demand complete honorable discharge and cash hearing. And the other one is you are American Admiralty of Age -2, which is the second version.
Was there a call Wednesday?
No.
No. Patrick, you make the comment in the You Are American Admiralty down at the bottom. This can be dangerous if you don't know what we're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you will come off very badly. So unless you know what you're doing, don't do it. I understand that. What kind of things very badly? Probably just getting right back into the system.
In a lot of cases, yeah.
Okay.
By walking in there totally intimidated. Okay. That you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll come off very badly if you walk in there and basically you're wishy-washy and you're scared out of you're shitting in your pants and pissing on the floor. Basically, that's very badly. Okay.
Right. You've told us before. Have it clear in your head what you want to say, and then say that and shut up so you don't get into trouble.
And see, basically, in most all state courts, they cannot handle admiralty. To move that out. Because, see, the state was supposed to be your mate in this marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got that in one of the word definitions there. Let me see, where in the hell is it? Willful.
Page 4.
Willful desertion of spouse. A desertion of one's spouse with evil intent and malice. A desertion in disregard of to one's spouse. Now, that state of corporation or that basically merged with you to send off that certificate of live birth off to D.C. to the owner of the vessel to create the numbered bastard child has deserted you. She was supposed to be your wife. And then she's turning around like the whore she is and taking revenge upon you like a lot of women in basically divorce cases. Don't know what the shit they're doing. They go out with revenge. Women are the most vengeful entities on the face of the earth. You've always heard that about a woman's scorn. Run like hell. I don't know whether the last part was on there or not, but I put it on there. Best get as far away from you can if you scorned one, because they will come back after you tenfold. But that's the whore in the damn process. Is the state of the number of the first mate. Your first mate in the process. And it was by your spirit, your corporate spirit. Because, see, even to create you, the living human being, it had to be your spirit and Mother Earth. The spirit is always the father. In almost all cases, except for when a woman is in the place, and then basically the mother and the state would be the father. But the state is still the whore in the process. The first mate that was on Mutiny on the Bounty. The first one to cause the mutiny is the state corporation. They're out there. They're supposed to be living off of the proceeds that the owner of the vessel is drawing in. But they are not happy with that. They're turning around, just like the second mate in Mutiny on the Bounty, and basically charging the seaman extra and saying it is because of the master or the owner of the vessel says you need to pay this. A total lie. State income taxes. You're paying federal income taxes. The state should be getting dividends from those items back to the state. But no, they're greedy. Greedy little whores. The corporations do not care shit about you. And they're going to fleece you one way or another. And that's why, in a lot of cases, you have to take these items out of the state court system and move them to the federal court system. And then the federal court will do a court-martial, a summary court-martial against the state if they're wrong. You get traffic tickets, okay? You turn around, you send those up to the state or to the federal district. Have them pay them. But basically, there again, you've got to make them aware of it. Hey, this is fraud. Because you, as the living, don't need a driver's license. How can a fiction drive? That's what I mean. You get this into the federal court and start hammering them and rocking the boat, as Tippy Canoe and Tyler too. You rock the boat. You shake the tree. That's how you get the apples down. Now, rocking the boat was one way of fishing, too. When you got in a school of fish. But that's old understanding.
What is rocking the boat accomplish?
That's when there was a lot of fish out there, too.
What did rocking the boat accomplish? Just made it easier to net them or something?
No, you'd be able to draw so much water in.
Oh, okay.
And when the water came in, you'd bring some of the fish in, and then you'd bail the water out, and then you'd rock it to the other side. And that's when you were in a school of fish.
Sounds like
you
a
didn't
dangerous
need any
maneuver.
net or anything like that.
Sounds like a dangerous maneuver.
Well, not if you knew what the shit you were doing.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. Most people don't know what the shit they're doing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Sure.
You got to have the knowledge and the understanding. And that's when you start getting the understanding of the words and the history and all the different things out here, pulling them together, then you start getting the rest of it. It all starts coming together. And then you'll start drawing upon your past experiences. You've got knowledge that you have locked away that you don't even know is there. Because you're too tied up with family matters and everything else. And that's what they want you. They've broken the families up. And then they turn around and want you to be a family member, worrying about all this shit. And worry is one of the biggest diseases out here. The other is also lack of understanding. Where did I come up with a lot of these terms, like contract of mateship? Where did I come up with these charter of demise? I mean, they were all in Title 46.
Mm-hmm.
A carrier's lien is a demerged lien. And see, that's covered not in Title 46, but it's covered in 48 American jurisprudence, first shipping, section 436. 48 American jurisprudence, volume 1, is basically this correlates a lot to USC 46. So if you go through the dictionary and start looking up 48 American jurisprudence, first shipping, and see what all applies to that. And then you'll start seeing, hey, a lot of this stuff is under maritime law. And in a lot of cases, then it turns around and has to be operated in admiralty. See, they employed your corporate sole person as a hiring. Now, he has the right to wages. And he can sue in admiralty to obtain those wages. But it is, you have to come in as the chief or master mate to claim that in admiralty from the federal district court. You can't come in as the ship owner, or not the American admiralty grantor, okay? You're the owner of the cargo. You're the grantor of the cargo. You can't put in the claim until the ship is basically docked. So you have to use your, and basically the living is not to be seen out here, and we can't be seen in the dead world. So you have to operate with your chief or master's mate person, not the numbered person, because your chief and master mate does not have a number. There was no number on that certificate of live birth when it went into the book, into the county records. It was only afterwards, 90 days later, after the merger with the state, when it went from the county up to the state, and that bitch whore up there turned around and said, well, we got a bastard child here, and sent it off to D.C., and they said, oh, we got a bastard child, we better number the little shithead. So we can keep track of him. When you go through and read all these definitions and have a good understanding of them, and then you get the flow chart, then you can proceed. Otherwise, you're not ready until you really have a good handle. Like even that Lord Tenders Act. Provided that no new promise should take a case out of the statute of limitations unless in writing or signed by the party to be charged. You've got to stop allowing them to take things out of the statute of limitation under these contracts that basically are already out there, and setting new contracts up. That's what they keep trying to do, is get you into new contracts.
So that's how
they haven't fulfilled the first contract.
Okay, so that's where all these subsidiary licenses come from, is by that.
Yeah, and basically all these traffic tickets and everything else. Extra fees and everything that goes on. The banking fees that go on. Hell, you gave them your signature to access your funds. You should never be overdrawn because you've given them your Social Security account.
Right, the whole thing.
Which was a transmitting number to go and draw the funds, and they're doing it. But see, they turn around and they bring this, well, oh, you're overdrawn. No, I'm not. I've got unlimited funds in that account. You just had better start processing them, or I'm going to basically take you to court. The mortgage on the house. It's paid for after 3 years. But you're not going to get remedy in a state court. You've got to take it to the federal court. You've got to take it into admiralty. Now, you take something in admiralty into the federal court, how much do you have to pay for a filing fee?
0.
That's it. 0. You are the admiralty of America. You are the land. You are the royalty, the king and the queen of America. You're really the princes and princesses of America. Because that's what America really stands for. Amer, I can. A prince of a sovereign, a sultan, or a god, an individual who has the understanding. Amer, I can. And I've said this for about 5 years now. So you are the admiralty of the land. Just like the New Zealanders, just like the Australians, just like the English, just like the French. They're all of the land. They're the admiralty of the land. The government is not the admiralty. They work for the admiralty. That bitch over in England is not the real thing in England. She's not the king or queen of England. She's just a fraud. And her actions have proved that to a hilt. They're just in there to fleece the people, to keep the people totally dumbed down. Just like the nitwit president we've got in this damn corporation government. Only one that stands in admiralty can say that and get away with that shit. Okay, any other questions? Get these documents sent down to Santos and Bill down there.
Okay, I'll do that. Gary's not on the call right now. Gary's on the call. That's you.
Well, you can both get to them and basically talk it over with them.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we'll do. Yeah, as you were talking about that, pretty much what we're doing right now should be applicable. There may be some change in terms, but the concepts are there.
Yeah, it's all about whaling, okay? I mean, this goes all the way back to the first Babylonian Empire, okay? About whaling. And basically they're going after the commercial. See? Whaling is, like I said, the definition of whale. Let me pull it up here so I give you the right. A mammal of the sea.
Right.
Well, what sea are they talking about? What sea are we dealing with in maritime system?
Commerce.
Commercial sea. Commerce, you've got to operate in commerce. See, that's where most people totally screwed up. They think commerce is everything. No, there's two different commerces. The dead commerce and the real commerce. The dead commerce is commercial commerce. So, you are a mammal of the commercial sea until you come out of it. That is also called the Dead Sea. The Sea of the Dead. So you're a mammal out there in the Dead Sea. Now, looking at it from that aspect, what are all these codes? The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Dead Sea Scrolls, okay.
That basically they found in 1960. Oh, we found the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Let's call them Title
the Dead
46.
Sea Scrolls have been out here for a long time prior to this. And see, they didn't want those Dead Sea Scrolls, just like what Saddam Hussein over there had in his museum. I don't know how many Sumerian tablets that they found in pristine condition, but they were trying to decipher them. And basically the bankers and the money changers, the merchant or the maritime personnel didn't want those out there because it would have stated everything that basically was going on right today. So you've got to have a broad understanding. When you hear something, you've got to ask the question, or you put it into your memory bank for later reference. You've got the smallest damn computer in the world, but it is the most powerful computer going. Where do you think they ever came up with the idea about a computer? It was all based upon the mind capacity of a human being. Yeah. Input and output. Storage capacity. Doing different things. Printing. Scanning. You name it. Basically, it all goes into this little computer in your brain. Yeah, the mate, okay? The second officer on board a merchant ship or vessel. And see, if you are the chief or the master's mate, you are the second officer on board a merchant ship. And I think this was out of Bouvier's. Number 2, he has the right to sue in the Admiralty as a common mariner for wages.
Mm-hmm.
When the death of the master occurs, the mate assumes command. So basically, if that chief judge basically dies, you take command of the vessel and you order its cargo to be terminated. You submit it into where?
Chief Judge.
The Federal Maritime Commission. Yeah, if your chief judge or your district dies or has deserted his post, then the mate assumes the command. And you're the first mate. But then you have to turn around and, like in some of the old movies out there, you have to go to the Maritime Commission, Admiralty Commission in some of the English movies. I remember that in several of the old sea movies that were out there. Then when the captain or whatever becomes incapability of being the master of the vessel on certain grounds, you would take that into the Maritime Commission. But you have to come in as the master's mate or the chief mate.
Okay, so when we pound on the judge and get no action, we declare him dead and take over.
Well, basically, he is in dereliction. He is in breach of his office, of his duties, of basically the master of the vessel. I think I've got enough grounds already to go into the Maritime Commission on this one. But, see, we have to go in the right name. And we don't use our fingerprints or anything like that, because if the person who is the master or the mate is the spirit, is the corporate spirit in the dead world. He can basically come in and say this ship cannot be further vesseled because it does not have a master. And basically all the seamen, the second or the first mate, has deserted or mutinied along with all the seamen. Therefore, this ship can't go back to sea. Scrapper. Salvage her out. Now all the cargo has to be removed, and under salvage right, all the property goes back to the original owner of the cargo. A lot of these shipping movies have been correlated into westerns and into different other movies out here on the big screen, moving them out from the sea into regular life. But you always have to look at this as basically that is still a vessel. Okay. Any other questions?
Gone. So Jen, you got a question?
One more question, yeah.
Okay.
The name when you sign Is it still the last first?
What
Like you said
name is
before?
on your
Hello?
I think he was going to say what name is on the certificate of live birth, but he may have dropped.
Okay. Because he's always said, and I've, hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh. He's always said last in line, first in time. And in regards to the way the birth certificates came out, the certificate of live birth came first, and then the state.
Well, you have your hospital birth record, but what he's saying is the certificate of live birth was prepared at the county level. Patrick just got back in. Yeah.
Okay.
What name is on your certificate of live birth?
I haven't
Now, if
looked
you've
at
had
it
a
yet.
name change, okay, you have a name change in the process by marriage or something along that lines. You have to show substantiation of the change from the original name on the certificate of live birth to your present name that you're using for your spirit, for your corporate spirit person, who is the chief mate.
Okay. I thought we were still sticking with the last in line is first in time. The live birth certificate came first, and then the corp soul.
The birth certificate, the hospital birth certificate came first, okay? Now, the name that's on the hospital birth certificate is going to be the same name that's on the certificate of live birth.
Yeah.
Okay? The number didn't go onto that certificate of live birth until roughly 90 days later. Or a short time later if you were already over the age of 1 year. Like some people got their certificate of live birth when they were 9, 10, whatever. My dad didn't get his certificate of live birth until he was almost 21 or whatever, whenever he went into the service.
Yeah.
And what was the reason they have to wait 90 days before they do that?
You have to be 1 year old in royalty to have a wedding.
9 in the hopper.
Yeah.
9 months in the hopper, 3 months out, so now you're classified as 1 year old, and then you can have a royal wedding.
Okay.
Where you marry the two
state.
birth certificates. Yeah.
The state of whatever.
Is that what you meant when you said marry the Jezebel?
Yes, the whore. The state corporation is the whore.
Yeah.
The whore of Babylon. Well, they're all basically whores out there, but basically that's the main one is all these little states, and they're the ones that have deserted, done a willful desertion of the marriage. The state gets you into a marriage contract. Okay? Why? They're turning around and placing a lien against the wife's account and against the husband's account. That marriage was a three-way marriage now with the state.
Yep.
Now, if basically there's a little child or something at play there, and you get separated, the state is supposed to come in and make up the payment for the other party because it was an insurance, it was a surety policy. They were writing insurance policies against that. That certificate of live birth is a marriage certificate is a insurance policy. All of these licenses and everything, they're insurance. That's what basically the key thing that was in this country was to keep out of this country. And that goes all the way back to The Devil and Daniel Webster, which was written in 1820. The dead money system, the insurance system. That's what eating off the tree of knowledge was that Eve did. Basically, she got into a damn insurance contract with the devil, a maritime contract. Yeah. Maritime, marry, marriage. What do they all have in common? They all start off with MAR.
Patrick, does the usufruct laws and all that still apply with the Admiralty? Yeah.
You get into that stuff and you're going to confuse yourself. Just try and keep on this simple understanding of this maritime stuff. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. Somebody was saying something?
Oh, yeah. So I looked up MAR on a Merriam-Webster dictionary, and it says to ruin the beauty or perfection of something, to hurt or damage the good condition of something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the M-A-R-E is the Latin word for sea.
Well, I'm just saying, like the root word M-A-R, right, is to ruin. So marriage makes sense if it's.
Yeah, it's a way of destroying. Because, see, a husband and a wife, they do not marry, they wed. They are welded together into one. That's what it's supposed to be. But in modern terms, basically it's not. They basically stay their own separate places. They definitely don't know what the hell love is all about. That's for sure. They only want it for sex.
So wouldn't maritime be to hurt or time to hurt or damage the good condition of something?
Yes, yes. Maritime is out there to destroy the sea mammals. And either commercial, in the commercial seas, or in the real seas. They're all out there under fishing. Go into the New Testament with Jesus. How many times did he go fishing? How many times did he go to the well? How many times did he talk about the whore? How many times did he talk about the prodigal son? Your prodigal son is this corporate sole person, the chief or master's mate on this maritime whaling vessel. You have to bring him home. And then all your seamen that you created, basically, what are they? I'm sure you've heard of this, lower than whale shit. They're the scum of that vessel. That's why they don't get any pay. That's why the state goes after them and hounds them and then turns around and says that that's you. But it's not you. That's why you have to take everything from the state into Admiralty, because you are the royalty, and the states cannot deal with royalty. If they do, they will dismiss the charges or whatever and write it off against the insurance policy that they have. Because if you know what you're doing, you can go after that insurance policy and take them for slander and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But only in Admiralty. That state clerk of the court puts your name in the paper, that is slander. They are harming the Admiralty of America. And you can turn around and sue them for damages.
Yeah, even in a
You
mortgage.
start doing this, and they will get you out of the damn system because they don't want to have you coming after them any longer. Because you're not going to be a whale. You're not going to go out to Vegas and be one of the big whales that they're going to try and fleece at the wagering tables. You're just going to go to Vegas and you're going to watch the shows. Or go to the buffets. They do have some good food.
Well, you can eat.
Yeah.
Except whale.
I posted, I don't know if it's going to show up, but I posted a site, mysticseaport.org, and it has on one of the pages Seamen's Protection Certificate Register Database. And it's talking about registering the Seamen's Protection Certificates at the Custom House of Gloucester, New
No,
Hampshire.
that is not for us.
Well, the reason I mentioned
It's not for us. Okay? That is for a regular seaman out on the Atlantic Ocean or whatever, or on the Great Lakes or whatever.
I recognize that.
Yeah, it's not for this fictional system.
It's word exempt.
The reason I was bringing it up, though, is because this shows something about from 1796 to 1871 they were required to enter all the surname and the date of birth and all that particular information that they put on the birth certificate at a later date. They put on the birth certificate. And that if you go in over to the left of that, there's a research and a whaleman shipping list. And then if you go into the search and you put whaling in, there's like over 2,000 things that come up for whaling. So I don't know if there might be something on that particular site that would be helpful. I don't know.
You can go out there and search and basically come up with all this other stuff, okay?
No, I mean
or
to confirm with, to put it in conjunction, confirm with what you're saying. Because
basically, all that we need to really concentrate on is Title 46, getting an understanding of why, and asking the question, why did they have whaling in all this Title 46? Okay? And then why is it exempt from 90% of Title 46 under whaling, when in this country there are no whaling vessels left? We don't have any whaling vessels.
Right.
We have shrimping vessels. We have king crab vessels. We have tuna vessels. We have all these other fishing vessels. Well, basically a whale is also classified as a fish, a big fish. So why did they have to put whaling in Title 46 when there are no specific whaling vessels left in this country? Because they're talking about us. In the commercial Dead Sea fishing system. And you'll find a bunch of stuff about whaling, but in most cases it's going to be about the other whaling that was taking place out there. But we know we've got enough information right now.
Well,
and I just gave you a flow chart to basically give you all the substantiation out of that.
Right, and I see the connection there with the way they were certificating them, if you can say that, and numbering them, and then what they ended up doing with the birth certificate and how they carried it over into, to bring on land. That's how I saw it. Maybe that's not the case, but that's what I got out of it to confirm what you're saying.
Well, but see, this is under a charter of demise, okay? You need to read what Charter of Demise says, okay? A charter of a vessel wherein the vessel is hired or rented out for a specific period, okay, 21 years, or voyage without a crew or with a crew, paid by and responsible to the charterer. Well, then you have to look up who the charterer is. The charterer is the United States, the Church of Rome, or the United States Department of Defense. They're the charterers. Okay? And then they are to be paid, but a demise charter is often called a bareboat charter, notwithstanding the fact that the demise vessel may be hired with a complete staff of servants and employees on board. And see, they created a bunch of seamen, fictional, numbered seamen. That's why I put numbered over there under seamen on that flow chart.
Right. That's why I mentioned
they're all numbered. You, as the corporate soul person, are not numbered. Just like the living body and your spirit are not numbered. You have no number.
Right.
In other words, you're number one. You're the source. But see, you have to put in your claim into the federal district court, pretty much what I did today. Now, if the federal district court, the master, the vessel bar master, does not fulfill the obligation, I also notified the Maritime Commission that I had informed the master. Now, after 3 days, if the master has not complied, then I have every ground to go right to the Federal Maritime Commission and take total control of that vessel.
What's the analogy? What?
Now, see, you have to do this in the proper perspective. That's knowing the real law. Yeah, when the master does not, on the vessel, does not live up to his obligations, then the chief or master's mate can take control, but he has to process it through the Maritime Commission to remove the vessel bar master. And that was well documented in several old shipping movies. I don't think it was in Amistad, but basically in some of the early American shipping movies that were out there in the 1930s that they put out. And they put a lot of shipping movies out in the 1930s and 40s.
Are those ones
along with the Westerns, huh?
Errol Flynn was in?
Oh, yeah, he was in quite a few of them.
Yeah, I remember watching those with someone, a bunch of black and white.
No, he was a good sword fighter. That's why they had those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Well, that'll give you enough stuff to study over, and basically, if you got any questions, give me a holler.
Thanks, Patrick.
Okay?
Very good. Talk later, Pat.
Huh?
I said very good. We'll talk later.
Okay, you take care. Yeah, try and get that down to Santos and Bill, and I think this will help them if they understand that this is all about whaling, and these guys are whaling all across the world, but they're doing it against the American or the French or the Australian whales that are in the commercial seas. They're the mammal that's in the commercial seas or the dead seas.
It's funny, when you're in seas, I always refer to your last name, never your first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, talk to you later.
Very, very powerful call, Patrick. Thank you. Pulls a lot of things together.
Okay, you guys take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Patrick.